you ever feel like you're stuck in a never-ending loop? Like you're doing everything right, everything you're supposed to do, but nothing's changing. Everyone around you seems to be moving ahead, getting their rewards, while you're left in the dust. Feels like the universe is just sitting there, watching, waiting for you to get tired, to give up, to quit, right? And in those moments, it's easy to start doubting. Maybe you're not good enough. Maybe you're doing it all wrong. Maybe this is the end of the road. You know, that sinking feeling that just eats at you every day. Success. Everyone's always talking about it, right? Always flaunting it. They tell you it's this loud, flashy thing that comes with fanfare and spotlights like a Hollywood movie. You've seen it, haven't you? The big, shiny moments when it all seems to come together for someone else. They get their trophy, their recognition, their applause, and you're left sitting there wondering how they did it, how they pulled it off. It seems like there's always a party, but you're not invited. Everyone else is winning, and you're stuck in the background waiting. Maybe you start to think it's just not your turn. Maybe you think you're not good enough, that you're not playing the game the right way. But here's the truth that no one tells you. Real success, the kind that matters, doesn't announce itself with fireworks. No, it's built in the quiet moments when no one's paying attention. You think that it's all about the big moments, don't you? The public victories, the recognition, the applause, the ones everyone can see. But the real work, it's happening behind the scenes, in the silence. You don't see the long nights, the quiet sacrifices, the moments of doubt, the relentless pushing when there's no reward in sight. You don't see the grind, and why would you? It's not glamorous, it's not Instagram worthy, it's messy, it's exhausting, and it's often thankless. But that's where it all happens. That's where you become who you need to be to hold the success that's coming your way, the stuff people actually care about. The fame, the money, the power, they're just the surface. They're the shiny stuff that everyone notices. But they're not the real prize. The real prize is what's being built in the silence. The skills you're sharpening, the strength you're developing, the character you're forging. You're becoming someone who can handle the success, who can carry it without being crushed under the weight of it. That's what the silence is for. It's giving you the foundation you need to rise up without falling apart when the lights shine on you. You might think you're failing because no one is noticing. You might think that because no one's clapping, you're not getting anywhere. But that's the illusion. That's the game they want you to believe in, the lie they want you to buy. You're not failing. You're just in the middle of something bigger than what you can see. They want you to believe that if they don't see it, it's not real. That if there's no crowd, no applause, no lights, then it's not worth it. And it's easy to fall into that trap. It's easy to get discouraged when you see others winning, when you feel like you're stuck in the mud, working away in silence and no one's even noticing. You think you're invisible. You think you're being ignored. But listen up, because this is where you've been misled. No one sees the grind. No one sees the small victories you've already won along the way. They only see the big explosion, the end result. They don't see the blood, sweat, and tears it took to get there. They don't see the invisible battles you've been fighting, the moments you've been pushing through when everything inside you said quit. They only see the tip of the iceberg, the part that's above the water. What's beneath the surface, that's where all the real work happens. And you're building the iceberg. It's taking time. It's taking patience. But when it's done, when the moment finally arrives, when the spotlight turns on, when everyone is looking at you and saying, "Where did you come from?" That's when you get to show them. That's when you get to show them everything you've been working on, the strength, the grit, the resilience, the hustle. You might not get the applause right now, you might not be getting the recognition or the rewards, but that doesn't mean you're not succeeding. It just means you're working on something deeper, something stronger, something that will last long after the applause fades. So stop worrying about the noise. Stop worrying about whether or not they're watching, because in the end, the real victory, the real success isn't about the world seeing your every move. It's about the quiet progress, the invisible work that you're doing right now. That's where the real foundation of success is being laid. And when it all finally comes together, when you're standing there in the light, they'll wonder how it happened. They won't know what hit them, but you will. 'Cause you'll know that the real success doesn't need to be loud. It doesn't need to be flashy. It's built quietly, slowly, in the moments that no one sees. And that's when you know you've really made it. Oh, patience. Everyone talks about it like it's a magic trick, right? Like if you just sit around and wait, everything will fall into your lap and suddenly you're on top of the world. Yeah, right. We've all heard the cliche, good things come to those who wait, as if time itself is some kind of fairy godmother just ready to grant your wishes because you're being patient. That's a laugh. What they don't tell you is that real patience doesn't come from doing nothing. It doesn't come from sitting there twiddling your thumbs, waiting for something to magically change. Oh no, real patience, it's about pushing through when you're exhausted, when you're ready to give up, when everything inside of you is screaming, why bother? That's when the real work starts. Patience doesn't mean waiting for your ship to come in. It means staying on your grind while the world is telling you to quit. It means showing up every day even when no one notices, even when no one cares. And let's be honest, it's hard. Oh, it's hard. Watching others get what you want, watching them get their shiny prizes while you're stuck in the background, working your ass off, hoping that maybe, just maybe, one day it will be your turn. The whole world around you seems to be moving ahead and you're stuck in the same place, watching. It feels like you're invisible, you're putting in the effort, but nothing's happening. The rewards, they're nowhere to be found. But here's where it gets interesting, because that feeling, that's what patience is all about. The waiting, the not seeing any result yet. That's where the magic happens. You might not realize it right now, but this silence, this waiting period, this is where everything is being built. You're not standing still. You're not wasting time. You're being forged. You're learning to trust the process. You're learning that sometimes the best things aren't the loud, fast wins. No, the best things are the quiet ones. The ones that take time to develop, that grow when no one's watching. You're becoming someone who can handle success. You're becoming someone who won't crumble when the spotlight finally shines on you. Patience is the test. Are you going to quit when it gets hard? Are you going to fold when it feels like no one cares? When you're drowning in silence, wondering if it's all worth it? Or are you going to keep going? Are you going to keep showing up? Are you going to keep putting in the work, even when no one else sees it? Because that's what separates the winners from the losers. The losers, they give up when things get tough. They let frustration take over. They quit before the job is done. But the winners, The winners push through. They don't care if no one's applauding. They don't care if no one's watching. They keep moving forward because they know that the victory isn't in the applause, it's in the journey. It's in the quiet moments when you're giving it everything you've got and no one's there to tell you that you're doing a good job. And when that victory finally comes, when you've earned it, when you've pushed through all the noise, all the doubts, all the moments when you thought you couldn't do it, that's when the real prize is revealed. And you'll know it was worth it. You'll know that every moment of silence, every moment of doubt, every moment of frustration was just part of the process. The moment when everything fell into place wasn't a fluke. It was earned quietly. It wasn't some random act of luck. No, it was built in the silence, in the patience. So yeah, patience isn't about waiting for the world to hand you something. It's about staying committed when no one's cheering for you. It's about staying in the game, even when it feels like you're losing. Because here's the reality. While everyone's out there chasing their quick wins, you're out here building something real, something that will last. So don't listen to the noise. Don't listen to the people who tell you that it's easy. Don't listen to the ones who say it's not worth it. They have no idea what it takes. But you know that the real victory isn't about getting it fast. It's about staying in the fight long enough for it to be yours. So don't give up. Keep showing up. Keep being patient. Because when it's your time, when it's finally your turn, you'll know that every second of waiting, every minute of struggle was worth it. And they won't see it coming. You know, people love to make the mistake of thinking that what's right in front of them is all there is. They look at what's happening now and think that's the end of the story, that this moment, this tiny fraction of time is all they'll ever have. But what they fail to understand is that it's never about what you see right now. No. It's about what's coming, what's just beyond the horizon, what's in the works behind the curtain, hidden away from their eager little eyes. They're so focused on what's happening in the immediate moment that they can't even begin to comprehend what's being prepared for them. The future, the real big stuff, it's in the unseen. That's where it's all being crafted. Everyone's so caught up in the drama of now, in the show that's playing out on their screens, in their minds, thinking it's the whole game. But there's something bigger, something deeper happening behind the scenes, in the quiet, where no one's looking. And while they're too busy being distracted by the noise, you're silently moving, learning, building, and getting ready. You see, here's the kicker. They won't get it. They won't understand what it takes to prepare for something great. They'll see you hustling, working hard, grinding in the shadows, and think you're just doing your thing. They'll think, well, he's just another one of those people, toiling away, putting in the hours, but for what? What's going to come of it? They won't see the puzzle pieces falling into place. They won't see you setting the stage, making the connections, learning the lessons, so that when the big moment comes, when the lights are shining, when everyone else is scrambling to catch up, you're already there. They won't understand how much preparation went into what looks like a simple, smooth ride to success. It'll look easy to them. They won't see the sweat, the late nights, the moments you thought you were about to crack. They won't see the painful learning, the constant struggle, or the quiet heartache. They'll never notice that you're building something solid, something worth having. They'll only see the end result, and they'll never understand the silent grind that got you there. And that's the thing about the unseen. It's where all the real work happens. You think you're failing because no one's acknowledging what you're doing. You think you're invisible, that no one cares about the effort you're putting in, that no one sees the countless hours you've spent fighting to get to where you want to be. But here's the thing. It's not about them seeing it. It's about you knowing that every second spent building, every ounce of effort you put into what seems like a lost cause is pushing you closer to something much bigger than the distractions and noise the world is focused on. The world is too busy looking for the quick fix, the instant gratification, the loud, visible success. They want the shortcut. They want it all right now. But that's not how real success works. It's quiet, it's slow, it's steady. It's like a seed you plant and nurture, hoping one day it'll grow into something bigger than you ever imagined. But you don't get to see that growth every day. It's hidden from view. You water it, you tend to it, you trust it will rise, and one day, when it does, everyone else will be surprised. They'll never have seen it coming. They won't understand how you got there, how you made it so far, how you turned nothing into something. And that's the point, because the real work, the real preparation isn't for their eyes. It's for yours. The people who only see the surface, they won't get it. They won't understand that what you've been doing in the dark is what's going to light up the future. And when it happens, when it all finally breaks open, they'll all be scrambling, asking, how did you do it? They'll be amazed at what you've achieved, but they'll never know the sacrifices, the hustle, the heartache, the persistence that you've put into it, the silent preparation. And that's the beauty of it. When you're preparing for greatness, when you're doing the work behind the scenes, no one has to see it. No one has to cheer you on. Because when the time comes and the curtain opens and it's your turn to take the stage, they'll see exactly what you've been preparing for. And it'll be so big, so undeniable, they'll have no choice but to wonder how they missed it, how they couldn't see it all along. But that's the secret. That's the thing. The best stuff is always hidden, always in the quiet, in the dark. The work that matters isn't the one that gets shouted about on social media. No, it's the one that gets done when no one's around, when no one's watching, and when no one even cares. That's where you find out who you really are, where you see the true power of what you're capable of. The unseen isn't just about the process. It's about building something that will stand the test of time. So let them watch the show. Let them wonder how it all happened. Because when the curtain rises and you step into the light, you'll be ready for it. They won't know what hit them, but you will. Oh, the things people do when they're desperate. You ever see someone so broken, so low that they'll do anything for a bit of relief, just for a taste of what they think they deserve? It's funny, isn't it? How people think they can just snap their fingers and make everything fall into place, like some kind of magic trick. They'll pray for what they want, they'll beg for what they need, and they'll wear themselves thin trying to get it. But the truth is, they have no idea what's really coming. They have no idea what's waiting for them when they finally get their wish. So they push and they push and they force things to happen, all because they think they're entitled to something bigger than they deserve. They scream into the void, trying to make their desires heard, thinking the world owes them something. And when they get what they want, they're shocked, completely blindsided by the consequences. Oh, they think it's a blessing, don't they? They think that they've earned it, that they've suffered long enough and now they're finally going to get what they're owed. They have no idea. You know, you can't just ask for what you want and expect it to come without a price. No. Life has a funny way of teaching lessons. It has a way of showing you that when you're pushing for something, when you're chasing something so badly, you might just be setting yourself up for a fall. They think their prayers will be answered, but they forget something important. You can't just ask for the good stuff without the bad. You can't get the victory without the pain, the rewards without the suffering. It's a package deal. And it's not something you can rush or demand. You can scream, you can beg, but the universe isn't just handing out freebies. So when it finally happens, when that thing they wanted so badly comes into their life, it doesn't look like they thought it would. Oh, it's not the fairy tale they imagined. It doesn't come with a happy ending. It's a reminder that sometimes we're just not ready for what we think we want. And when the reality of it all hits, they crumble. The very thing they thought would fix everything becomes the very thing that breaks them. Funny how that works, right? You work so hard to get something, and when you finally have it, you realize you didn't know what the hell you were doing. You didn't realize how much you'd have to give up, how much you'd have to sacrifice, and it's too late. They get what they thought they wanted, but it doesn't fill the hole. It doesn't heal the hurt. It doesn't make them feel whole. They're left with nothing but regret. And the worst part, they don't even know how they got there. They don't even realize that in their desperation, they've made a deal with the devil. They traded their soul for a moment of satisfaction, and now they're stuck with the consequences. They thought they were ready for the blessing, but all they got was a lesson they weren't prepared for. It's almost tragic, really. All that effort, all that pain, just to realize that what they wanted wasn't really what they needed. The universe doesn't just give us what we want. No, it gives us what we can handle. It gives us what we're ready for, whether we like it or not. And if we're not ready, well, that's when things go sideways. That's when we end up with the weight of the world on our shoulders, trying to carry a burden we never asked for. And then we wonder why we're falling apart. So you see, there's a funny thing about blessings. They don't always look the way we think they will. Sometimes they come disguised as a curse, and we don't realize it until it's too late. We can't rush the process. We can't demand the universe to deliver on our timeline. We don't get to dictate when we're ready for something big. The real question is, are you prepared for what you're asking for? Because if you're not, well, you might just find out the hard way. It's easy to want, isn't it? It's easy to say, I deserve this. It's easy to convince yourself that everything will be perfect once you get it, but what happens when everything isn't perfect? What happens when you realize you're not who you thought you were? What happens when you get the blessing and it doesn't feel like one? That's when the true test comes. Bam. That's when you really find out if you're ready for it. Oh, the universe is funny, isn't it? You've heard people talk about destiny, fate, like there's some big plan laid out for them as if their life is a script and they're just following along, waiting for the good parts to roll in. They sit there, waiting for the world to hand them what they think they deserve, like it's just gonna fall from the sky like a gift. Well, here's the truth. Nothing worth having is ever going to be handed to you. And the world doesn't owe you anything. But here's where it gets fun, right? Because, see, you can't just sit there and wait. You have to move. You have to take those steps, even when you're not sure where they're going. It's easy to get caught up in the idea that you can't do something, that your shot has passed, that the window is closed. Oh, people love that excuse, don't they? I'm too old, too young, too tired, too late. They look at others doing their thing and tell themselves, that could never be me. But here's the joke. There's no too late. There's no too old. You think the world cares about your clock, about when you start, when you step out? No, it doesn't. Because the world doesn't operate on your time. It doesn't give a damn about when you think you're ready. It doesn't care about your doubts or insecurities. The world is moving forward, whether you're standing still or running. And guess what? The universe doesn't care about your comfort zone, your routine, your plans. The best parts of life, the ones that'll make you feel alive, that'll make you feel like you're on fire, they don't come when you expect them. No, they come when you're least prepared, when you're tired, when you're broken, when you think you can't take another step. And that's the punchline, isn't it? The good stuff, the real good stuff, it comes when you're too tired to run, when you've already given up, when you're on the brink of losing everything. But here's the thing, that's exactly when it counts. It's easy to keep going when you're feeling great, when everything's working in your favor. But when everything's against you, when the world's on top of you, when you feel like you're about to collapse, that's when you find out who you really are. That's when you realize what you're made of. It's when you're stretched to your limit, when you're hanging by a thread. That's when you truly start to see what you're capable of. You want to talk about destiny? About fate? That's what it's about. It's not about waiting for some magical moment to show up. It's about fighting through the mess, through the chaos, through the confusion, and saying, yeah, I'm still here. You think that's not what sets people apart? You think the ones who make it didn't have the same doubts, the same fears, the same breakdowns? Hell no. They just kept going. They didn't quit. They didn't let the world break them no matter how many times it tried. And you know what the funny thing is? Most people will never know how close they were to their own breakthrough because they gave up too soon. They didn't want to endure the pain, the struggle. They couldn't handle the fight, so they walked away. And that's why they'll never get to see what's on the other side. They'll never get to taste the victory, because they didn't stick around for it. So the universe doesn't hand you anything, no, but it's giving you a choice. It's giving you an opportunity. It's up to you to take it. You can either sit around and wait for things to happen, or you can get your hands dirty. You can either wait for some perfect moment to show up and hope you're ready, or you can dive in head first and figure it out as you go. You know what's harder? Waiting. It's harder to sit back and do nothing, watching other people chase their dreams while you're too scared to take that first step. It's harder to let fear control you, to let the what-ifs rule your life. The hardest thing? Not doing anything. The hardest thing is sitting there while the world keeps moving forward. It's so much easier to fall into that trap, to convince yourself that it's all too much, too big, too far out of reach. But if you want something real, if you want to change the game, if you want to be someone who doesn't just talk about their dreams, but actually makes them happen, then get out of your own damn way. Stop waiting for everything to line up perfectly. Stop expecting the universe to give you a gift. The best things, they don't come on a silver platter. They come when you least expect it. When you're ready to push past the pain, when you're ready to break through the noise and make your own path. The universe doesn't care about your excuses, your fears, or your doubts. It doesn't care if you think you're too old or too tired. It doesn't care if you think you're too far gone. What matters is whether or not you're willing to show up and do the work. Whether or not you're ready to fight for what you want. Whether or not you're ready to stop sitting on the sidelines and step into the game. That's the real test. So go ahead, keep waiting. But know that every second you waste is a second you'll never get back. Every moment you sit there wondering if it's your time is another moment that passes you by. The clock's ticking. Are you going to let it slip away, or are you going to grab it and make it your own? You get to decide. You know, life, it's like a game, right? And we're all just playing our part, pretending to be in control, pretending like we know what's going on. But here's the thing about this game. It's not about winning or losing. It's about how long you can stay in the game. And you want to know the secret? People love to talk about how to win at life, but the real trick is how you handle the times when it feels like everything's falling apart. And I mean everything. People around you, they'll look at you and whisper, thinking they know your story. Oh, look at them. They're falling apart. They'll never make it. But guess what? They don't see the real story. They don't know what it feels like when you're running on empty, when you can barely take another step. You know those moments when it feels like the weight of the world is crashing down on you, when everything is just too much? Yeah, that's where the magic is. Because here's the truth. You want to be strong, you want to show the world who you are, then you got to get comfortable with being broken, comfortable with being weak, comfortable with hitting rock bottom and realizing you're still breathing, still standing, still moving forward, even when it feels like you can't go on. People think the ones who make it are the ones who have it all figured out, the ones who have all the answers, the ones who look like they've never struggled a day in their life. But you know what? They're not the ones you should be looking at. The real warriors, the real survivors, they're the ones who were on the ground, knocked down again and again, but still managed to crawl their way back up. They're the ones who didn't quit. They're the ones who didn't let the world tell them when they were finished. And that's where you find your strength. It's not when everything's easy, when the road is clear and the sun is shining. No. You find your power when it's dark, when the path is unclear, when you're questioning everything, even yourself. That's when you find out who you are. People say they're tired, that they're done. But what they're really saying is they don't have the courage to face what's ahead. They don't want to confront the fact that the hardest part of the journey isn't the physical fight. It's the mental game. The fight with your own mind, the fight with your doubts, with your fears. But here's the thing. If you can survive that, if you can look at the mirror and face the person staring back at you and say, I'm still going, then you've already won. The rest, it's just details. Oh, and it doesn't matter how many people doubt you. It doesn't matter how many people think you're finished. They don't know you. They don't know your journey. They don't know the strength that's been built in the silence, in the struggle. The ones who are telling you it's over, they're the ones who never had to go through the fire. And you're already burned. But the difference is you're still standing, you're still here. And that's the part they don't get. You're still breathing, still fighting, even though you don't know what's next, even though you don't know what tomorrow brings. And that, my friend, is how you show the world you're not broken. That's how you show them that you're not a victim of your circumstances. People will never see it coming. They think they've got you figured out. They think they know when you'll fall, when you'll quit, when you'll give up. But the joke's on them. Because they don't know that you've been broken for so long, you've learned how to stand taller than they ever thought possible. They don't know that you've been crawling through the darkness, just waiting for the moment when the world is finally going to see that you were never really broken, just bent. And here's the truth, the part that nobody likes to admit. There's no end to this. There's no magical moment where it all stops hurting. No, life's a marathon, not a sprint. And the sooner you realize that, the sooner you stop waiting for the pain to end and start learning how to dance in it, the sooner you're going to understand that the power is in the struggle. It's in the fight. It's in the never-ending cycle of picking yourself up, dusting yourself off, and trying again. And if you're willing to keep going, if you're willing to keep showing up even when you're beaten down, when your body's aching, when your heart's shattered, then you've already won. The rest of the world can keep pretending they have it all figured out, but the truth is, they'll never know what it's like to truly survive. They'll never know what it's like to rise from the ashes, to stand tall after the storm. And that, my friend, is what makes you dangerous. Dangerous to everything that tried to bring you down. Dangerous to the idea that you'll ever stop fighting. Because as long as you're breathing, as long as you're still moving, the game isn't over, and no one can take that from you.